"Mama, please don't send me away," Ada sobbed, gripping her mother's dress. But her mother, Evelyn, didn't look at her. She just tightened her lips, eyes fixed on the dusty road outside. "It's only for a while," she said. "Your uncle will take good care of you." Evelyn packed Ada's small bag and handed it to her. Then, without another word, she put her daughter in the old bus heading to Uncle Toby's house. Ada kept looking back, hoping her mother would change her mind, but the bus pulled away and her mother stood still, not waving, not crying. When Ada arrived at her uncle's house, it felt different. The air was heavy, the house quiet in a way that made her stomach turn. Uncle Toby smiled, but his eyes didn't. "You'll be fine here," he said. At first, things seemed normal. He gave her food, a place to sleep, and even bought her a new dress. But soon, Ada noticed something strange. Uncle Toby locked the doors at night, even from the outside. He always asked her to sit close to him, and his hands would rest on her shoulder too long. When she tried to move, he would chuckle. "Your family, nothing to be scared of." But Ada was scared. One night she woke up to find him standing in her room, watching her. Her heart pounded so hard she thought it would burst. "Go back to sleep," he whispered. The next morning, Ada begged him to let her call her mother. He smiled. "No need. She said you should stay here for now." Days passed, then weeks. Ada stopped asking.
Then one evening, Uncle Toby's friend came over. He was a tall man with a rough voice. "Is this the girl?" the man asked, looking Ada up and down. Uncle Toby nodded. "She'll learn," he said. Ada's hands shook as she washed the plates. She didn't know what they meant, but she knew it wasn't good. She had to get out. That night, she made a plan, but she had no idea that what was coming next would shock everyone, including her mother. That night, Ada couldn't sleep. She lay still, listening. Uncle Toby was talking on the phone in the next room. His voice was low, but she could hear bits of what he was saying. "She's still small, but she'll get used to it. No, she has nowhere to run. Tomorrow night, just be ready." Ada's heart pounded. She didn't know what he was planning, but she knew she had to leave, now. She sat up slowly, careful not to make a sound. She had no phone, no money, no way to call her mother, but she had her legs, and she had fear. Fear was enough. She tiptoed to the window. It was locked. She tried the door. Locked. She was trapped. Tears filled her eyes, but she forced them down. If she cried, she would make noise, and if she made noise, Uncle Toby would hear her. Then she had an idea. The bathroom window. It was small, but maybe she could squeeze through. She tiptoed inside, climbed onto the toilet seat, and pushed the window. It didn't budge. No. She pushed harder. It was stuck. Panic rose in her throat. She bit her lip, swallowed it down, and tried again. This time it moved, just a little. She pushed more. It made a loud creak. She froze. She waited, listened. Nothing. She pushed again. The window opened enough for her to slip through. She climbed up, squeezing her tiny body through the space. Her foot slipped. She fell. She hit the ground hard, pain shooting through her knees. But she couldn't stop. She ran. She ran faster than she ever had in her life. Barefoot, wearing only her nightdress, she didn't care. She just ran. She didn't know where she was going, but she knew she had to get far away from Uncle Toby's house. She reached the main road, breathing hard, looking around. It was dark, few cars passed. Then she saw a woman walking towards her. "Help me," Ada gasped. "Please." The woman frowned. "What's wrong, child?" Before Ada could speak, she heard a voice behind her. "Ada!" Uncle Toby. She turned. He was running towards her, his face twisted with anger. The woman looked at him, then at Ada. "Who is he?" she asked. "My uncle," Ada whispered, shaking. Uncle Toby smiled, panting from the run. "She's my niece," he said smoothly. "She ran away in the middle of the night. I was so scared." "Thank you for finding her." The woman hesitated. "She's lying," Uncle Toby added, reaching for Ada's arm. Ada yanked herself away. "No, he locks me in. He doesn't let me call my mother." The woman's eyes narrowed. "Is that true?" Uncle Toby's smile faded. His face hardened. She's just making up stories, he said. Come on, Ada, let's go home. But the woman stepped in front of him. I don't think so. She pulled out her phone. I'm calling the police. Uncle Toby's face changed. He glanced around, then took a step back, then another. Then he turned and ran. The woman knelt beside Ada. Come with me, she said gently. We'll call your mother. Ada's legs shook, but she nodded. She didn't know where she was or what would happen next, but for the first time in weeks, she felt safe. The police came, they took Ada's story, they called her mother. Evelyn arrived the next morning. She ran into the station, eyes wide, looking like she hadn't slept. When she saw Ada, she burst into tears. Oh, my baby! She hugged Ada so tight it hurt, but Ada didn't mind. I thought you wanted me to stay there forever, Ada whispered. Evelyn pulled back, shaking her head. No, Ada, never. I sent you there because I thought he would take care of you. I didn't know. Ada looked into her mother's eyes. You should have checked, she said softly. Evelyn broke down crying. The police found Uncle Toby a week later. He was hiding in a small town, trying to run, but it was too late. They arrested him. At the trial, more girls spoke up. Etta wasn't the only one. Evelyn held her daughter's hand the whole time. When the judge sentenced Uncle Toby to prison, Evelyn whispered, I'm so sorry, Etta. I will never send you away again. Etta squeezed her mother's hand. She didn't say anything. She didn't need to, because this time she believed her. Life after Uncle Toby's arrest was not easy. At first, Ada thought everything would go back to normal, but it didn't. She couldn't sleep without waking up in a cold sweat, expecting to see him standing in her room again. Every time someone touched her shoulder, even gently, she flinched. Loud voices made her heart race. Evelyn noticed. She tried to act like everything was fine, cooking Ada's favorite meals and playing the old songs they used to dance to. But Ada didn't dance anymore. One evening, as they sat at the table, Ada finally spoke. Ada, she said softly, do you want to talk about it? Ada kept her eyes on her plate. No. Evelyn sighed. I just want you to know that you're safe now. But Ada didn't feel safe. She started having nightmares. In them, she was back in that locked room. The window wouldn't open. Uncle Toby's voice echoed in the dark. You have nowhere to run. One night, she woke up screaming. Evelyn rushed in, wrapping her arms around her. It's okay, baby. It's okay. But it wasn't okay. And Ada knew it never would be, not unless she did something. One afternoon, she made a decision. Mom, she said, I want to see a doctor. Evelyn's eyes filled with tears. You mean like a therapist? Ada nodded. Evelyn reached for her hand. Okay, we'll find someone. The first day at the therapist's office, Ada barely spoke. The woman, Dr. Amaka, was kind, but Ada didn't trust her. She sat with her arms crossed, staring at the floor. It's okay if you don't want to talk yet, Dr. Amaka said. We'll go at your pace. Ada just shrugged good after a few sessions. She started talking. Just a little. She told Dr. Amaka about the locked doors, about the strange men, about the fear that still sat in her chest every day. Dr. Amaka listened. She never said, you'll be fine or it's over now. Instead, she said, that must have been so scary. And you are so brave for telling me this. And slowly, Ada started to believe it. One day, Dr. Amaka asked, what do you do when you feel scared? Ada thought about it. I don't know. I just feel it. Dr. Amaka nodded. What if we found something that helps, something that makes you feel strong again? That night, Ada thought about it. What made her feel strong? Running. The night she escaped, she had run faster than she ever had before. And in that moment, even though she had been scared, she had been powerful. She told her mother, I want to join a running club. Evelyn smiled. Then let's do it. The first time Ada ran on the track, she felt free. At first, her legs ached and her breath came fast. But she didn't stop. She ran, pushing past the memories, the fear, the anger. She ran until all she could hear was her heartbeat and the wind rushing past her ears. And when she crossed the finish line, gasping for air, she smiled for the first time in a long time. She wasn't running away anymore. She was running forward. Years passed. Ada grew up. She never forgot what happened, but she didn't let it define her. She kept going to therapy, she kept running, and one day, she decided she wanted to help other girls like her. She became a counselor, working with young girls who had been through similar things. She told them, "It's not your fault." She told them, "You are strong." And they believed her, because she knew exactly how they felt. One day, after a long session with a young girl who reminded her of herself, Ada sat in her office, staring out the window. Her phone buzzed. It was her mother. "How are you, baby?" Evelyn asked. Ada smiled. "I'm good, Mom," she said, and for the first time in a long time, she meant it. She was good. She was safe. And she was free.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel for more.